But mobile isn't the only change. It isn't the only thing that's disrupting the industry. We're going to talk to you about identity. And identity for us is really about breaking down the silos. It used to be the platforms and applications, especially in the enterprise, were about silos of information. And now we are in the age of APIs. All of your systems have to work together. They all have to be connected. And you as a user have to have experiences that transcend those applications, that cross those silos. So as developers, we have to build applications that access a common user context. So that when I'm a user of an application, my manager, the attributes of my profile, that's all common across applications. That's all leveraged. My identity transcends all of those applications. My social graph, the people I collaborate with people I collaborate with at work. In my consumer life, my friends on Facebook, my followers on Twitter, all of those things are aspects of my social profile. They're all available to applications in the platform so that you can build applications that leverage this type of data. And it's about eliminating siloed applications in your enterprise. Leveraging the fact that in Force.com, you can build applications that connect to SAP, that connect to your back-end systems, that connect to SharePoint, bringing all of that data together, leveraging a common identity across them, and making all of the application experience better. And it's part of the reason that we are adding a lot of the features that you've seen announced at this conference are about integration. They're about opening up the APIs and services and the extensibility of our platform. And the one that I want to delve into now is what we call Force.com Canvas. So those of you that are Facebook users and have played a game on Facebook, played Farmville, a Zynga game, when you actually run that game, you're accessing the Facebook site, but the game is being served up from Zynga servers. So Facebook has built a very lightweight integration framework where third parties can integrate into their user experience. We've brought a very similar idea to Force.com in the enterprise. That's Canvas. So your users will access Force.com, and they will see applications with a seamless user experience. But as a developer now, you can integrate different technologies. You can bring them into the Force.com user interface. So regardless of the implementation platform, whether it's a Java app or a .NET app, you can integrate it into the Force.com UI. We've given you a lightweight JavaScript framework to do that integration. And we've open sourced that JavaScript framework. You can see exactly what it's doing. But this isn't just an iframe. As a developer, you know that by default, iframes are secure sandboxes. You can't cross that browser security model. So how would you actually integrate the data? You would have two siloed experiences. So as part of this platform, we've given you the ability to securely proxy API calls back to Salesforce. So we've done all of the low-level infrastructure there. We've done all the security work with signed requests. So that's all implemented as part of that framework. We've made it very easy for you to write applications that integrate across platforms, that integrate between Force.com and any of your existing applications. And we see two very common use cases for this framework. The first is all of your existing apps. Take all of your on-premise apps, your Java apps, your .NET apps, and you can immediately integrate them into the Force.com user experience. So your users don't have to switch out of application 1 into application 2. They can have a common user experience. They can stay in Force.com. And you can build an application that integrates the data you have in Force.com with the data that you have in your application. So it's able to combine those two things together for a better experience. See a great example of this with some of our ISVs. People that are building applications that combine data that's in Salesforce with data that the ISV partner has. And there's a second really common use case that we're seeing. People that are building new apps, social apps, web apps, all of their sort of new next-generation applications where they want to leverage any language and any framework and run it on Heroku. And leveraging Canvas, they're able to integrate that into the Force.com user experience. And to show you how that works, let me introduce Jesper Joergensen.
I'll make my part quick because we're going to have Dave up here again to do the actual demo. And as Adam said, we want to focus as much as we can on writing code here. But Force.com Canvas is a game changer for Salesforce platform and for you as developers that are using the platform. Adam said, we saw on the slide up here, that there's now 800,000 of you out there. That's a big number, and it's impressive growth when you think about where we come from and how quickly we come here. But this is not the whole population of developers in the world. It's only 800,000. That's about maybe 12 million developers in the world. So what about the rest? How can the rest of the world's population of developers get all the benefits, get all these amazing technologies at their disposal that you have, that you here in the room have today? We've heard Chuck in the platform keynote talk about identity, talk about how that brings things together. We've seen Dave demo that you as a Visualforce developer can be a mobile developer now. These are amazing capabilities. How can we bring them to the rest of the world's population? This is what's behind Force.com Canvas. This is what Force.com Canvas will do to you and your organization. When you combine Force.com Canvas with a multi-language platform like Heroku, you can build an app in any language. Java, Python, Scala, Node.js, JavaScript, you name it. Any language that runs on Heroku, and you can make it a Force.com application. And that is something that I think is really important, because what Force.com gives you is this beautiful UI that your end users know how to use, the integration, the context that comes with the identity integration, so that you just have to write the code. You can now write the code in all these different languages. It'll come up as an application that's embedded in the user experience that your end users already understand. That part is usually what you spend the most time on when you write applications. So I think this is going to be really important in bringing all these benefits out into a much broader audience of developers. So I want to invite Dave back up here to show us how that works.
Well, thank you, Jesper. Great, so let's try another demo, shall we? So where I am now is I'm inside of our pre-release. This is the Winter 13 version that will be in your hands very soon. And what I'm going to do is actually show you how this Canvas stuff works. I'm going to start by going over to the setup area. Oh, great. Oops. All right, let's try this. I'm using the wrong. No hacking into my demos. All right.
Amazing login screen.
Thank you, thank you. You can log in. All right. So there's a new item over here on the left side of the menu called Canvas App Previewer. And so what this is this is a place where you can, before actually deploying your app, making it active within the Force.com platform, be able to do your development, see how it looks, make sure it's operating correctly. But it's also a great place to get started. And I'm going to show you how to do that by doing Heroku Quick Start. So I'm going to give this app a name. We'll call it New Territory. Maybe I should call it Fingers Crossed. And then give it a Heroku app name, because I'm actually going to be creating a Heroku app. And then I'll go ahead and type in my Heroku login. So it'll just take a second. And then the password. And then when I click Create, assuming I've entered everything correctly, what's happening is we're using the Heroku APIs to create an app out on Heroku and then installing a sample Java Canvas app within that Heroku instance. So here we've got it called New Territory. Rather than click on it here, though, I want to show you where these things will show up for your end user in the Force.com platform, at least for today, while it's in beta. So if I click on my Chatter tab now, what you see on the left is the typical Chatter elements, people, groups, and files. But down below here now, I've got a list of the Canvas apps that have been installed inside my org and available. So if I click on New Territory, what happens is we go out and we ask Heroku to deliver this app to us. Here it is, right? And I want you to notice a couple of things. First of all, right here where it says username, that's not a username that I entered during the process of creating the Canvas app. It got this via the context. So the Canvas app is really enabled by delivering the user context, the org context, to that application that's running on that external system. In addition to the context, we get things like URLs that allow us to very easily use any of the REST APIs or SOAP APIs, metadata APIs, as well as authentication information, right? So we get a token over there, and we get a URL to refresh that token, and so on. So that's, well, it's not one way, by the way. I almost forgot. So, you know, yeah, I can read data. Anything can, but let's go ahead and post something to Chatter. Woot, hello, two of my favorite words. And then if I go to Jake Lorak here and see that application running on Heroku has posted to my Chatter feed. That means that application is now social.
So this was just blazingly fast, right? It took just seconds to create the application. So this is just a development application, or what do you need to do to put this into production?
This is in production, right? So the template that I used to get started, that's a production app. That's running on Heroku. That means I have the full scalability, flexibility of the Heroku platform to run this app.
So all you had to do to make this a production-grade app is run Heroku Scale and scale it up?
If I have more than 2 users, or 2,000, or 20,000, sure.
Wow, that's incredible.
Pretty easy.
What do you think? Maybe some of you are asking the question, what do I need multiple languages for? I want to talk a little bit about that. So, like I said, there's 800,000 of you. You're writing code in Apex and Visual Force, HTML sometimes, and there's 12 million developers out there in the world using other languages. Not only are there 12 million developers out there using those languages today, they've been using these languages for decades, and they've built an amazing treasure chest of libraries, of open source libraries that are available to you to compose your applications of. If you go to Maven Central, where you can download pretty much all open source libraries that are available for the Java programming language, you'll find there's about 40,000 of them. If you go to rubygems.org, you can find all the open source libraries called gems in Ruby there, and there's about 40,000, coincidentally, of them as well. It's an amazing collection of assets. These libraries represent reusable code that developers have created before you to solve specific problems. They've refined the APIs, they've removed the bugs, and they've tuned the performance. Also, you could stand on the shoulders of them and reach for the sky, reach for the cloud. And that makes a big difference. That's really what's going to make you more productive, that you can go out and say you work in a gigantic enterprise, and for 2 decades, you've had an ERP system or mainframe, and fortunately, someone has been there and has built a reusable library in Java, and you can just take that now. That library is what you use to connect to this big hunky thing that talks some weird protocol that you don't know and you don't want to really deal with, but you understand Java, and you can just take the library and build right on top of it. That's critical for productivity. The second reason why multiple languages is important is collaboration. I'm not saying that you need to go out there and learn 6 new languages or 10 new languages in order to be able to build a bunch of things. This is about collaboration. This is about collaboration across teams. It's about collaboration with developers that you hire as contractors, developers all over your own organization that use different languages, that are experts in different things. You can now, together, all of you, build composite, high-value business applications consisting of multiple different languages, or built in multiple different languages. That's extremely valuable as well. And then finally, you can start building reusable components yourself. that become valuable to a much larger ecosystem than who's here in this room today. You can build reusable components in your enterprise. You can have other teams in your enterprise build those reusable components in languages, and you can leverage them. So that's the value of multi-language. The whole world basically opens up. Now, let's talk about the developer experience. We want to show you a little bit of that as well. The developer experience for different languages is different. I like to roughly divide them up into two categories. There's a bunch of languages that have more or less a Unix-style developer experience. Ruby is one of them. Python is another. Node.js. And you'll see slides like this when we talk about those languages. You'll see some black with some green on it. It's command lines, terminals. The editor is VI, Emacs, or something like that. That's clearly different from the kind of experience that Java developers expect. And Scala developers who use statically typed languages, they're used to working in a rich IDE because the rich IDE can really help them. It can help them by introspecting these static type libraries and type ahead and refactor and so on and so forth. They shouldn't have to give that up. That's why at Dreamforce here this year, we're announcing the availability of a new Heroku Eclipse plugin that is multi-language, can be used with any language that you want to code inside Eclipse. That would typically be Java or Scala, perhaps Groovy, and other languages that run on the JVM. And you can take this plugin and deploy code today. And we're going to take a look at that. Dave's going to show us how that works.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jesper. I'm an IDE guy. As you can tell, sometimes I need a little bit of help, right? So, yeah, so here I am in Eclipse. I've got the plugin installed. And the first thing you'll notice down here is I have a list of projects. These represent the projects that I have out on Heroku. And let me just go ahead and refresh this. And there we see my new territory project, right, that I created from the Canvas app. So let's go ahead and take a look at the shortcut menu here, for instance. So what I've got instantly is access to this project, to this application. I can view logs. I can actually scale right from here. I can destroy the app. But what I want to do at this point, well, let's view the logs, see what's going on with that, right? So here we are.
That's coming right in live into Eclipse from the application?
Yeah, these are live logs coming out of the logplex at Heroku. Let's go back here one more time and see how we start editing this. So all I have to do is click import at this point, and yes, and finish. And what's happening now is the application is being downloaded from the Git repository that's associated with my Heroku app and being installed into the IDE so that I can begin using it, right? So here it is. It's showed up. It's shown up.
And is this a special Canvas type application? You said it's created from a template. Is there something special about this application?
So this should be a familiar structure for those of us who have built Java applications that are meant to be web applications, right? JSP, servlet kind of model. So there's no extra framework or anything like that in here. As a matter of fact, if I just kind of drill into the target here a little bit, oops, sorry, the source, we'll see that I've got a web app folder. I've got a web imp folder with a web.xml, right? I mean, this is a pretty standard Java web app.
That looks familiar.
What I want to show you, though, is the signed request JSP. So this is actually the page that gets rendered inside my Canvas app. And in particular, what I want to show you here is this bit right here. I don't know if you can see that, so I'll zoom in a little bit. That's SDK.js canvas-all. This is the incarnation of the Canvas SDK as a JavaScript library. This gives you the access to the context as well as the mechanism by which you'll interact with the Force.com data. So let's scroll down a little bit farther and see how we might use that, that SDK. You can see we've got right here, we're pulling out bits of the context. Context.firstname, context.lastname. This is bits of the user context. As a matter of fact, I'm going to change this up a little bit just to show that we can round trip this whole thing directly from Eclipse. And I'm going to cut and paste some code because that worked so well last time. It's a much smaller bit this time. All right, so we'll drop that in there. And ideally, if I've done this correctly, what I'll have on my page is now the first name and then parens and my email.
Let me do a code review here. Let's just check.
Would you like to do that?
I think that looks good, Dave.
Any syntax errors?
Yeah, you know.
There we go.
Aesthetically, I'd say
okay.
That's a pretty bad one right there.
That's community development right there. All right, so now all I have to do, so you know that's a major change to my code. I'm ready to push a new version, and so what I'll do.
That's going to take a while, right? It's going to take a long time.
No, it won't take very long. So all right. I've never used Heroku. I've never used Git. You don't need to know any of that stuff because built within Eclipse is standard source code control tooling already. Right? So I can go down here to this team menu item and commit my changes. So this is a big deal edit.
So it kind of forces you to use version control?
Yeah.
So what if I don't want to use version control?
Well, you should probably seek another line
version
of work.
control? That's like a bad idea, isn't it?
I think you maybe are in the wrong line of work. So the next thing to do is after you've committed your changes, we want to push them back up to our Heroku app. And I can do that by clicking push to upstream. And now, using the Heroku API behind the scenes and Git, we're pushing this back up to Heroku. And you can see now on my log, it's up there. It's being compiled. At some point, it'll tell me, hey, your app looks good. We've launched it. You can go to this URL. And that's what this screen tells us right here.
There we go.
Okay.
Like it's restarted.
So it says, yeah, it looks like, what did I do now? It says, looks like, I saw something. It says, looks like we're running on Heroku. So anyways, let's go see now if my changes have taken place. Again, this is, I haven't refreshed the page. So once I relaunch that app on new territory, lo and behold, I've made a change.
Woo.
Awesome, yeah. So
that took what, 20 seconds?
It didn't take very long. The deployment piece, the accessing the code, the being inside of Git, you get all that just like out of the box even if you don't want it.
And if I had some unit tests that I wrote, it would just run because Eclipse does that for you. It comes integrated into the IDE, so that would actually already have run before you even pushed that. I don't know if you've noticed we announced this thing called Heroku Enterprise for Java. One of the things that we did there is we allow you to wire this up through a continuous integration workflow using Atlassian Bamboo or other CI servers. So you could have a continuous integration server run your test if you wanted as well. This is pretty amazing. This is a great demo. I think if you go back, we're going to record this on video, and you cut out all the chit-chat between Dave and I, you'll see that it only takes minutes to do this kind of stuff. It's a really big difference. So with that, thanks a lot, Dave.
My pleasure. Thank you.